What is up, everybody? Welcome to SportsShack episode 42. I just realized we are 8 episodes away from episode 50. I don't think that's going to be, I feel like next thing you know, we'll be not that far away from episode 50, and I feel like that's a long time, I'm very appreciative. I'm happy for that and grateful for, obviously 50 episodes of SportsShack. My name is Brandon Natali, along with Denis Tui, and there's a lot going on in the sports world. Obviously, Super Bowl 60, which is going to be in San Francisco, Santa Clara. That is now going to be the New England Patriots versus the Seattle Seahawks. Sam Darnold, who with a former third overall pick from, my beloved New York Jets, is now heading to the Super Bowl after a tumultuous journey through the NFL world. And the New England Patriots with Mike Vrabel, they are now going to the Super Bowl. After 1 year taking over the team, the New England Patriots, even after Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era, people thought they were going to go back to just what they were before that. But now the New England Patriots are back in the Super Bowl. People were upset that people were happy that the Kansas City Chiefs were out of it, but New England Patriots, came back. I guess they're taking back over. What they're trying to do is the best team in the NFL, trying to take back the dynasty, all before the Dallas Cowboys are doing it.
I'm sorry, were you talking to me?
Just sorry, I guess talking to the.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought so, but you took a pause there for a second. I was like, I'm sorry, I had to. Something like literally just came up like a minute ago that I had to quickly answer. But yes, it's been that long since we've had a repeat champion?
Supposedly.
Wait, whoa.
No,
run this back, because you said something in the Dallas Cowboys, but that didn't make sense.
What I mean is that since the Dallas Cowboys last won the championship, like their Super Bowl back in 1996, they've managed to, the New England Patriots had one dynasty.
Right.
Then they had two dynasties. And then Brady and Belichick left. They had some mediocre years, average to mediocre. Now, and then back-to-back 4-13 seasons. Fired Gerard Mayo, hired Mike Vrabel, and now they are back to essentially the top of the NFL world. All in the span of before the Dallas Cowboys. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, that's how insane. That's what happens when, I hate to say it, but it's true. That's what happens when you have a good organizational structure, good ownership, less dysfunction, and you have the coaching and everything set up going. And that's what the Patriots have in Robert Kraft. That's what they have in Mike Vrabel, and that's what they have in Drake May. So kudos to the New England Patriots for that. And that's, and obviously we'll get to the Seattle Seahawks side. But Dennis, I want to hear your take on the New England Patriots part of their.
I'm not trying to be a hater, but I'm going to hate. Why not? Congratulations, they made the Super Bowl. Nobody could ever take that away from them. I'm not trying to sound like a punk or anything like that, but I do kind of have to dial it back a little bit for my excitement of this year's Super Bowl, because I don't recall a team in the NFL ever being as close to being a fraud as this NFL team is. I know I'm on my phone and it looks bad, but it's because I'm trying to get something up.
It's good. It's all good.
Okay, so I saw this earlier. Let's go to the Patriots schedule, shall we? Week 1, their opponent fired their head coach. Week 2, their opponent fired their head coach. Week 3, their coach retired. Week 4, the NFC South. That not a good team. Week 5, that team fired their coach. Week 6, NFC South. Week 7, that team fired their coach. Week 8, their team fired the head coach. Week 9, that team fired the head coach. Week 10, another NFC South team, which is not good this year. Week 11, the Jets. Week 12, the Bengals. Week 13, another team that fired their head coach. They had a bye. 2 more fired head coaches, the Jets. And then week 18, another team that fired their head coach.
Yes, I think I saw that. Yep, I did.
So, I mean, like, they beat one team that was 500 or better this year. That's less than the New York Giants in the regular season, at least. In the playoffs, gift wrapped in the playoffs. I would say Drake May was not good in the playoffs. He had some good moments against the Broncos, like when he had a huge run. which wound up being a deciding factor in the game. But Jarrett Stidham looked horrible. Jarrett Stidham looked really solid for the first 6 minutes of the game. Like, okay, this boy showed up to play, and it fell apart. I cannot think of a team that I have ever seen in any sport that had an easier path to a Super Bowl than this year's Patriots. C.J. Stroud was unplayable. Who was unplayably bad for the Texans, who I thought were going to come out of the AFC. I to be honest with you, I was talking with our good buddy Josh Gable.
Of course.
Texans season ticket holder, diehard Texans fan. He agreed with me. They should have played Davis Mills in the second half of that game. I don't think they lose if Davis Mills plays. He said he's been good. C.J. Stroud had injuries earlier this year, and Mills did good. It's just like it sucks because you want to get super excited for a Super Bowl, but you have this team that even if they win, you're like they shouldn't have been here in the first. Super excited for, and it's just not. I'm not compelled. We're going into the Super Bowl. I have this gargantuan trophy right next to me for our fantasy league that I won mostly in part to Jackson Smith-Njigba of the Seahawks. And my Jackson Smith-Njigba jersey hanging up upstairs, which I probably should have worn today, whatever. Stuff to return it. And instead of being fired up that this player I was rooting for this whole year, this scrappy Seahawks team, Sam Darnold, people counted out, and Kenny Walker and Zach Charbonnet, who Charbonnet got hurt, but Kenneth Walker, who at times people thought was going to be a really good running back, he kind of took a step back, kind of similar to Ramondre Stevenson. They have guys that you want to root for, honestly, on both teams, but just because the nature of how the Patriots got here, it's not a fun, scrappy underdog team. It's this team's really not that good. You know what I mean? It's not like the 2019 Nationals where you're like, how the hell do they keep doing this? It's no, this team's just not that good. And
you know what? I feel like
it's not fun. It's a really good defense with
good defense. Yeah,
the worst Super Bowl offense I've ever seen. Probably even as bad as Jake Delahome's Panthers team. Probably worse.
Wow, Jake Delahome.
Because they still had Steve Smith.
I didn't think we were going to talk about that today. If you would have told me we were going to talk about Jake Delahome, it's been wow, it's crazy.
I'm trying to think back.
They actually weren't that bad. But in that Super Bowl, well, I got to look back at the playoffs.
You know what I'm saying?
They upsetted the Eagles in that championship game
right.
too.
But yes, they did. I was about to say
that was a great Super Bowl though they played against the Patriots. Jake Delhomme was actually slinging it. It's where they caught the Patriots off guard.
Yeah,
so, that was in terms of that. He was I remember, I think the longest play in Super Bowl history to Musleh Muhammad. I think that was 86, 85. I think today to this day it's still the longest play. Saying that's how electrifying that game was. I don't know if you really could compare that team to this team because, like you said, I think they just had the way easier schedule. I do agree. Drake, I still have some respect for them in a way, but I agree. A lot of you look at the schedule, some of the coaches are fired. 2 of them are the Jets. 2 of them are going to be the Dolphins.
Every single team that had a disastrous season.
So right away off the bat, you have an easy schedule. You have easily make the argument for 4 wins. Because you're playing the Jets and you got the Dolphins.
It's just not a Super Bowl. All right, so I was really I watched the NFL as a kid, but I wasn't really a super fan until I'd say middle school. And I'm not a fan like you are. You can recall specific games and years. I'm not like that. To me, I know this is kind of weird. All the games kind of just blend together for me. All the years and stuff like that. I remember watching the games. The years. Super Bowls I remember, but the years.
Okay, yeah.
And I cannot think of a team that I was this less excited for a Super Bowl. Because there's nothing fun. It's not.
Really?
Well, I shouldn't say that, but it's
come on now. I mean, I'm not excited.
I'm just not stoked. And again, I'm taking this away from the Seahawks that I just love. I love the Seahawks team. They're super fun to root for.
I'll say I'm not. I think this is going to be an exciting Super Bowl. I'm not stoked for the halftime show. I don't think if I had the opportunity, and that's for another discussion, I wouldn't watch it. But I'm going to be on a ship, and I think it's going to be around me, so I might have to. But that's for another discussion. But I think it's in terms of the Super Bowl aspect, I think it's a great matchup because of the Seahawks and Sam Darnold. I'm very hyped and excited to, as a Jets fan that I am, people saying, are you upset? Or I think someone asked me to what do you think of it? Like, are you upset or I think you just asking my thoughts. And I was like, no, I'm happy. I'm very happy for Sam Darnold because I knew he was good. I knew the talent was there. I guess we were kind of manipulated to believe in he was the problem. He's not good. That's not the case. He always was good. We failed him. And I'm trying to write an article for Jet Nation about it, just detailing his journey. And then I'm going to summarize to the point, this is what happens when you have good organizational structure, less dysfunction. You have the players around him to make him succeed, coaching to make him succeed. And with the Jets, we just didn't have that. We didn't do that. So I'm going to write the article soon. And like I said, but I'm happy for Sam Darnold, seeing how he was in Minnesota. That was the place to go to. And then seeing him go to Seattle, what he's been able to do. I knew all along he was this great player. We just didn't have the tools necessary to make him succeed. And so, I like the Seattle team, the Seahawks in general. I think it's crazy to me that Geno Smith, wanted to leave. They wanted him to stay, but he decided he wanted to change. He wanted to change his scenery from Seattle, and he wanted to go play for Pete Carroll and the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. My apologies, but you can see how that worked out for Geno Smith and Pete Carroll. So, it's good karma on the Seahawks because, like I said, they found a way better quarterback in Sam Darnold. People thought they were rebuilding because they got rid of DK Metcalf and Geno Smith, but it was the opposite. They were the number one seed. Now they're representatives of the NFC in the Super Bowl. So I'm hyped for that, for the Super Bowl in that aspect. I'm very hyped to see how Sam Darnold's going to do. I want him to win it because I just believe that I loved him when he was on the Jets, and I believe they never should have got rid of him. Back in the day, I didn't care what they did, but I was happy if they kept him. I was happy if they got Zach Wilson. But if you asked me, I would have told you I think they should keep Sam Darnold. So, but like I said, I'm hoping that he succeeds and does good. I hope he slings it, and I think that the Seahawks defense is going to destroy the Patriots. And that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is it's such an overwhelming favorite. And I was trying to think of a better way to say it because I was I think I'm just coming off as being a hater. And I picked the Seahawks to make the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, to win the division before the season started. And it's you want, and I'm sorry that I appear to be very distracted. I'm just trying to share this on social media. You want to root for this team that nobody expected to make it to the Super Bowl naturally because they're the underdog. How did they get here and all this kind of stuff? But like I was saying earlier, and I think this is a more fair way of putting it, that just, even though they're a scrappy underdog team, there's a difference between, like I said, the 2019 team, Nationals to me was the most exciting underdog championship team. That or the 2020 Miami Heat, or the two underdog teams that I just loved. And the difference between those two teams and the Patriots is those two teams kept snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. They kept going on the back heel every single time, and they kept finding another way. We'll find a way. We'll find a way. And at the end, you just believed in them. There was just a confidence they had. I'll never forget that. And I'm not trying to bring it up for Met fans, and we don't have to get too far into it. But when Kurt Suzuki hits the grand slam against the Mets, and then just boom, the Nationals from that point forward, it's a shatter point for the rest of their season to just be hot. That's exciting. The Heat with Jimmy Butler and his spirit, this scrappy underdog his whole life, that spirit the Heat had that year, and their second NBA Finals appearance was just so fun to watch. And then it's you go to a team like this Patriots team, a similar underdog team nobody counted on. Mike Vrabel goes to the Patriots because he doesn't get along with the Titans. The Titans have imploded since then, and he was the hottest coach on the coaching market, and now he's back. He takes his team to the Super Bowl. Woohoo! This Patriots team, this proud franchise, you know, in the 20th century, kind of a laughing stock. In the 21st century, an absolute, you know, conquering force of every gridiron they played on. And it's just kind of it could be fun, but again, like the way they get there is like they weren't snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. You know, like they were punching down the entire way. That yeah, they had this stable organization, but they were going up against chaos every week. They're going up against teams that didn't know what they're doing. Like their crowning achievement was beating the Bills. It was a great team, and honestly, this was the year that the Bills should have made it to the Super Bowl, but they didn't. And we spoke about that last week. We don't have to get into it again.
Right.
And it's just like, man, it's just I'm just not. I am not excited for it at all. I got to be honest with you, but we're talking before the show about my squirrel brain obsession with reality television. I am way more excited for the new Survivor season, and like this week of like the traders and even like the NBA, like regular season NBA games. Like I was excited to watch the Phoenix Suns versus the Nets game because Devin Booker is hurt again. And when we went to the Nets game last week against the Phoenix Suns, it was a close game. So I knew yesterday was going to be a really close game, and it was. And it came down to the wire. And I'm like, that has me more intrigued than like this Patriots team that 10, 20 years from now, we'll probably look back like, how the hell did they get to the Super Bowl that year? Or not. Maybe this is the start of Drake May, and he's the next Tom Brady, and it just sucks.
Yeah, that's what
they wear the same jersey color. It's just, you know.
They wear the same logo on their helmet.
We'll see. Because, like, again, like the players on their team, like I like a lot of the Patriots players. I like Demario Douglas. I think he's very underrated. I like Hunter Henry, and I'm happy that he had a good year. I like Drake May. I like Ramondre Stevenson. Like, I
don't like the Patriots, so I'll just say that.
Nice point.
Yeah, this is another.
You're a Jets fan. I don't count your opinion.
No, my it counts tremendously. It can count. I'll say that my opinion counts tremendously, 100% all the way. No, but it's even though I'm the Jets fan, but like I said, but I said it to I was very it was seeing them in the Super Bowl again. I said to my sister was watching me, and I said to her, I'm like, this is awful. Like seeing the Patriots back in it again. I don't. So like I said, I don't like the Patriots, so I'm not supposed to be happy for them. I mean, I respect them, sure. I think like I said, I respect the organizational structure that they have and Robert Kraft, and I like I like Mike Vrabel. He was supposed to be the Jet coach, but of course they fired Gerard Mayo, and they're like, no, you're coming to the Patriots, and that's how he essentially is the Patriots head coach. So no, I don't like so you best believe I'm rooting hard for the Seattle Seahawks, especially for Sam Darnold. So that's I expect it to. I don't expect it to be a blowout by Seattle. See, people can't. I get why people saying New England's they're a good team. Don't count them out. I get that, but Seattle, they destroyed the Niners and they played very great against the Rams. So what they got going on with Mike McDonald and then Clint Kubiak as the head, as the OC. I think they got a great thing going on. The defense is insane with DeMarcus Lawrence making the Pro Bowl, Devin Witherspoon, Big Cat Leonard Williams, Tariq Woolen, who almost cost him the game at one point, but actually was able to redeem himself with that penalty. Just so many great players on defense where they're just insane. I don't know how you count them out. They're manhandling teams this year. So I just like the Seattle defense. And like I said, just they got everything on offense. It's great. JSN, Kenneth Walker, they got everything's flowing with that. The run game is good. It sucks that Zach Charbonnet's not going to be involved because, he tore his ACL. But JSN, people said, well, before the season, is he the wide receiver one? He absolutely proved that he is, and they didn't need no DK Metcalf. So, and obviously JSN giving glory to God. That's amazing. JSN had a great championship game, 10 receptions for 153 yards and 1 touchdown. And I just like what Seattle got right now. They got everything flowing on offense, everything flowing on defense. It's just everything's perfect combined. So like I said, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I expect Seattle to win. I just think they're the way better team.
And there's one thing we got to talk about. It's February, and Julian Love of the Seattle Seahawks.
Julian Love too.
Love is in the air. Valentine's Day. You got a guy on your team named Love. I mean, I'm starting to say that it might be a team of destiny here. Who knows? But
right,
plenty of game left, buddy. Plenty of game left. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
you know who I'm rooting for, and I was a Patriot. I played the Patriots flag football team, buddy. So
it's gonna. I'm going on a cruise in a couple weeks. A week and a half actually from now. It's I'm really excited because I need a vacation. Especially with the snowstorm that we just had. And all the shoveling and just my car was getting stuck and then just dealing with the traffic and the crazy drivers and all that. Just
getting another one Sunday.
No, I heard we're getting another.
I'll send you a picture after this. I haven't even dug my Elantra out because I've been using my parents' cars. So my car is still completely buried. It's kind of funny.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I should get on it.
I would get on that. Be careful though, because if you don't hurt your back or anything else. Be careful.
I'm banking on parking it in front of the sunniest part of our property and it being black and just a new Mother Nature taking over. Just burn it out, baby.
Just burn it out.
That's not the way science works. I know, but cut me a break. All right, I shoveled so much this weekend that I'm shot, dude. I don't feel like doing it, especially just to come home and do it again Sunday, dog.
Yeah, but it's just this was an actual. Before we get back to sports, I know we should have talked about the blizzard to start the show. This definitely was a very intense blizzard, probably as far as I can recall. I know we've had snowstorms over the past couple of years. I know we had one in 2020, and then into 21. That's what I remember. I don't know if we had one in 22. I can't remember.
I thought we had one a few years ago that was worse than this. We had one a couple of years ago because I worked at that Target. It was a Saturday, and it was worse than this. And I don't know if it's just been retconned out, but I remember working it at the store. I was working HR that day, the only day I ever worked HR, calling people, telling them not to come into my job. And I was just watching Psych the whole time, LMAO. But in between doing that, I was shoveling out my coworkers and people who were braving the weather. And because a bunch of people got stuck in the snow. Like stuck. Like I'm like, and this was peak like fat boy Denny, like 350 pounds, like leaning on cars to just push them through. That like, and it's like I bring it up. I'm like, you remember that really bad blizzard we had a couple of years ago? And people are like, yeah, but I see the look on their face, and it's kind of like me that like I don't remember what year it was. That like that is like this weird like Elseworld storyline that like just like like I don't know, like I don't know, alternate universe, Flashpoint. I don't know. No, I've talked about Survivor, talked about comic books and sports. This is like a. I'm getting close to. I don't know what I'm missing. I guess I have to find a way to mention Pokemon. It'll be the Dennis Grand Slam.
But
or history, I guess.
It's definitely but I know we've had some bad storms over the past couple of years, but I know we've had snow over the past couple of years, but I feel like this was close enough to where it was to me just a bit hectic, in my opinion.
Yeah, this just sucked. This sucked.
Like,
leaving. I worked 6 to 1 on Sunday.
Okay.
And getting home from work was a pain in the ass.
Right. I remember you were. Yeah. How was that?
I had to go. I left. All right. So none of you guys, most of you guys watching this and listening to this, I'm guessing are people who know us, and I'm guessing you're from Long Island. But where we're from, there's this main road called Hempstead Turnpike, and it runs east to west.
Right.
So I'm getting out of the parking lot. I'm going east. None of the streets, the main streets going north-south, were really plowed out well. So it was just this east to west street, and you would have to go over a little snowbank and then just still driving like 6 inches of snow. So I was trying to find an opening down this road, and I was like, highways, the exits are pretty steep by us, so I'm not going to go on the Seaford Oyster Bay again. Non people who don't care about this. Sorry. Eventually, I had to make the right. Brandon knows where I live, so he knows where I'm going to talk about with this.
Okay.
I had to make the right after the Seaford Oyster Bay on, I guess, Zorain. Because I was trying to find a street that I could just cut across that was plowed. And I couldn't find one, and I gambled, and I was wrong. What are you going to do, huh? I'm going to call 1-800-BEN-HELP.
What are you going to do?
And what we're going to do is we make the right on Zorain.
Okay.
And none of those Farmingdale zip code but Plain Edge district streets were plowed at all. And I'm in my dad's four-wheel Subaru, thankfully. But I was like, what Twilight Zone nonsense is this? That like I'm just driving and just literally in like 8 inches of snow. And I'm like, bro, what are we doing? And then eventually I got to Boundary Avenue, and I was like, booyah. This is a side street that's actually plowed. It's like I thought that Hempstead Turnpike was an evacuation route because we have the hurricane shelter over there in Farmingdale, but I guess not. I guess not. I guess all the main streets going there are just we'll just throw it away. And Hicksville Road being a state road, I thought would be nice too. It's already kind of a tight turn to make that right from Hempstead Turnpike to Hicksville Road,
right?
Because like it's just there's always somebody's always doing something stupid over there. But yeah, and you would know because you worked over at Quick Check. But
right,
wow. I got home in one piece. And then, of course, yesterday I go to work in that car. The same car I used gets stuck in front of my house. So I have to take my mom's car, and I wind up being late by 2 minutes with a punch clock to get into my job. So I couldn't even like just fill out a timesheet and be like, you know?
It's cold out though, man. It's freezing. Like I think I looked at the weather app. I should have took a photo of it. You know, this is actually, oh my God. Okay. So this is the day forecast in Seaford. I had my inner Manfredi. I remember Manfredi used to be like, that's how he would say that sometimes. He'd be like, oh my God. I don't know if you ever noticed it.
I certainly do. All of his mannerisms I notice and then jokingly.
I haven't to say not to say I've emulated that, but sometimes I do be like, oh my God. Like, but anyways, like, just look at this forecast, like, oh my God. Today's going to be 11. Thursday it's going to be 8 degrees. Friday it's going to be 4 degrees. And this is in Seaford. So best believe, yes, people listen to this. You probably know me. You live around me. You probably, unless you're in Florida, right now, because I know some people in Florida. Saturday's supposed to be 4 degrees. Sunday's going to be 11. And then Monday, 10 degrees. Like next Monday, so now we're in February. It's going to be 10 degrees, Tuesday 15. So just everything, this forecast, yeah, it's just, look at this.
I got to ask Dr. Tony. Dr. Tony, you study weather patterns. What do we got? Is this as bad as people are going to make it out? I asked him this weekend, I was like, is this really going to be as bad as people make it out to be? He's like, it's going to be pretty bad. He's like, I think the inches are going to go down, but it's going to be sleet after a while, and it's going to get really icy. He was right about the icy part. He was wrong about the inches part.
The temperature range will feel like -11.
Dog, what
this is
flipper? I have to go to class tonight too. My professor's like, actually, it's going to be in person. And I was like, this is the 3rd or 4th time I've had you as my professor. I don't know why you're breaking my balls, lady.
This is Sunday the 1st. That's temperatures at one point will feel like -11. This is Sunday, February 1st. Like I said, where temperatures will feel like -11. It's just Mother Nature's been brutal. This has just been a brutal winter. But like I said, hopefully everybody stays warm and hopefully we don't get any more snow. So I think that wraps up that. But I feel like we should dive quick into basketball.
Yeah.
No, hey, I had fun. I had fun with that. I do not care.
People watching this from like out of New York are like super fast. And like, no, stay on Long Island geography, dang it.
But obviously news coming out this morning from Shams of ESPN that Giannis Antetokounmpo, however I pronounce his name,
Antetokounmpo.
I feel like I had it before. Giannis
Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo, something. is ready to move on as the Bucks begin to listening to aggressive offers. So whether that includes the Knicks or that includes the Phoenix Suns, as Dennis was telling me before the show. I don't know if you just.
I think that's wishful thinking. King of wishful thinking. That song's a banger.
I got to listen to it. But so I mean, I feel like this was a long time coming. This is no shock to me. As like I said, this was no shock to me that Giannis and the Bucks were having issues for a long time now, and this was inevitable at this point. And so whether that's going to the Knicks or any other teams, but Dennis, what team in your mind, if you had to trade him right now, you had the controls of the Bucks roster, where would you think he would be best fit, or just like where would you think where would Giannis want to go? If you were in Giannis' shoes, where's the first team that comes to mind you want to be traded to? And then what's the team that he would best be fit to?
I can see him wanting, like, people are saying that I'm like trying to find like a good breakdown of like how this can actually work, because the NBA to make trades now, it's like impossible. There's so many, this apron, that tax threshold, this apron, that apron, this tax threshold. You can't trade consecutive year picks because the Cavaliers traded away like 10 years worth of draft picks in the 1980s. I'm not making that up. And like weird history. There we go. That's Grand Slam. But it's just little things like that like it's so hard to trade for superstar players in the NBA now. And what it is like your team has to be good enough without him if you're going to trade assets. I don't think the Knicks qualify. I think on paper, people are like, the Knicks would be perfect for it. If you're trading away either Mikal Bridges or
Karl Anthony Towns,
OG Anunoby or Karl Anthony Towns, regardless, you're taking on Giannis, who's a better player than all three of them. Obviously, he'd be your best player on your team. I like Jalen Brunson. He's not Giannis. Who's shooting the ball for you? This is kind of the problem the Knicks have ran into in the past, that like their three-point shooting is not very good. And Giannis is not a three-point shooter. Maybe he can make one a game and it's like, whoa,
Right.
But he's not getting the A+ on the NBA 2K. Free throws is something he struggled with. We just saw the other night with the Knicks against the 76ers, at times in general, their whole team struggles with free throws. They almost lost the game to the 76ers, and honestly, they should have lost the game to the 76ers. There's some bad officiating at the end, whatever, you don't care. And it's just, I think it's one of those, on paper, you would love it, but I think it's one of those things that over the last few years in the NBA, we've seen teams beat players. Like these super teams that get assembled, you're like, whoa, this team is good. And I know this because my team was one of them when Kevin Durant was on Phoenix. And then you go up against a better team and you lose. And like, I don't think this team is good enough to beat the 76ers, but I think that, not 76ers, the Thunder, but I think this team that's constructed now for the Knicks does have potential to do it, because you can't just double team Giannis when Jalen Brunson has the ball and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Right.
That this team is just like, the Knicks already have some depth here, and I think Mike Brown's trying to get them to be deeper, like the Kings were that year they made the playoffs, and it's just not working out. But I think like you'll have to give away draft picks too. Okay, fine, but the Knicks draft picks are not very good draft picks. They're all going to be low draft picks anyway, because they're not going to qualify for the lottery. Now, a team like the Warriors could implode. But the thing with the Warriors is, what are they giving up for Giannis? Like, Warriors fans are delusional. Like, I keep hearing this. Is like, yes, we'll keep Steph Curry, we'll keep Draymond Green, we'll keep all our draft picks, and we'll get Giannis. And you guys take Jimmy Butler, who's basically at this point a corpse on the basketball court. It's
right.
What are we doing? So, like, I really don't see it. Like, the Lakers maybe could get something done. The Lakers could get something done. Yes, you guys take DeAndre Ayton, who's one of the worst starting centers in the league, and visibly does not give a damn about being on a basketball court for more than 5 minutes at a time. And you guys take Jake LaRavia, who's actually pretty good, and all of our horrible draft picks, if we even have any at this point, and we'll take Giannis. We'll take the burden from you. Maybe a team like Dallas, right? Take Anthony Davis and take some of these other pieces, build around Cooper, Flag, and Giannis. Maybe that's an idea. But I think realistically, the only team that actually has all the parts to get this done, and you're going to hate, is the Oklahoma City Thunder. They still have 1 million first-round draft picks. They still have their team 1 through 15 on the roster are guys that you could see getting minutes or getting more minutes on other teams, and you can see what you have in them. The Knicks don't really qualify for that. The Heat don't qualify. I'm hearing people say the Miami Heat. What did the Miami Heat have that's worth giving? Tyler Hero? Really? Is Tyler Hero going to be the best player on a championship team? No, because he wasn't the second best player on a championship team either, because they lost. So, and mostly because he's a traffic cone on defense. So, like, I don't see it. I don't see it. The Atlanta Hawks could be interesting. That could be a team I could see maybe getting something done. They just got rid of Trae Young, and somehow, some way, they got draft picks back. So that's something that I could see. But aside from that, I don't know, man. I honestly, like, I think the NBA just made it too hard to trade for players.
Okay.
Like, the Celtics aren't in it. You know what I mean? Like, all these teams that you expect, maybe Detroit. I don't know. Again, it's so hard to get these salaries to match now because you have guys in the NBA that are making near $80 million a year. It's not exactly easy to add together now. Like, hyperinflation just completely, like, shredded the NBA this last year. I don't get it. And I'm not talking about, like, in our day-to-day lives. I'm talking, like, in general, like the NBA, like the dollar value for these contracts would just skyrocket. I don't know why. Jaylen Brown, not the best for the NBA PA. Just saying.
Right. Right, but I guess that comes up with Giannis.
I could be missing something though. Like there could be something that, like, I am completely missing a formula to get there.
I think you hit everything on the nail with that. The Jets just recently, there's been a lot of head coaching hires right now, and OC and DC hirings. I don't know why. I feel like there's so much openings that everyone's looking to see who's getting hired for the OC. People looking to see who's getting hired as the next gourmet chef at these. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's so interested in knowing who's getting hired for what in the NFL. This morning, I think the Browns just hired Todd Monken. So it's a good signing by them. Another offensive coach, good coach, especially coming over from the Baltimore Ravens, you know, having to deal with Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's not coming over to the Giants. They got to find their OC. And then Joe Brady is announced as the Bills' head coach. The offensive coordinator is now taking over full-time as the head coach. And they're committing to him with a 5-year deal. So kudos to them. The Jets this morning just hired Brian Ducker, I think that's how I pronounce his name, as the new DC. He's coming over as the passing game coordinator from the Dolphins. And Aaron Glenn is supposedly going to be, yes, he's at pass game / secondary coordinator. And he is now coming over. Aaron Glenn is still going to call the plays, but he's going to get the DC title. And so, you know, the Jets, as of yesterday, fired Tanner Engstrand, which that's a move I'm not really too keen on. I didn't really think Tanner Engstrand should have got scapegoated. I think when you're not given him the right tools, you know, you shouldn't be expected to build a mansion right away. So I kind of think that was a little bit, I thought it was just unnecessary. Now, if they bring in a coach like Frank Reich, I think that could be a good replacement. Frank Reich has a ton of coaching experience. He's known as an offensive guru, in my opinion. You know, he took the Eagles to the Super Bowl in 2017. They won it. and I thought he was a decent coach with the Indianapolis Colts. I think he kind of got a little bit of the back end when Andrew Luck retired. Because he only had one season with them. Then you had Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers, and then Carson Wentz. So I just didn't think that I think Frank Wright is a good coach. So if they would hire him for the OC, I think that'd be a good hire. So a lot of people coming at Aaron Glenn's neck. They're coming after his job right away. He doesn't have the New York fan base or the media one bit. Everyone's calling for his job. My thing is, if you fire him now, who are you going to hire? You might as well just write it out 1 year, see where it goes. I like that Aaron Glenn is admitting defeat. He's wrong where he's firing these coaches. He's trying to change the scenery just because obviously it didn't work out. But at the same time, it's not a good look where you fire your assistants after one season. These are people that you brought in, so it's not a good look. But Aaron Glenn knows that this is essentially his season, the second year, where if nothing works out, he's going to get fired. So he's trying to do whatever he can do to save his ass, because the seat that his ass is sitting in is hot. It's hot right now. So I think that this, we'll see what these moves do, but I don't think it's a good look. And I don't know, a lot of dysfunction going on right now in Florham Park that, and I'm not saying I'm one to want him to get fired. I'm not saying that. There's a lot of people saying that. I just want to put that out there. I'm not calling for him to get fired, but all I'm saying right now is that it's not looking good right now in Florham Park, New Jersey.
Can I interject here? I actually like that Aaron Glenn is firing his assistant coaches. He's a first-time head coach. He's got to see the way it works. You know what I mean? Like, there's some guys, like, on paper you might think it works. And the other thing is, like, just in general, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, this Jets roster is just not that good.
Oh, it's awful. It's putrid.
You know what I mean? Like, I think the expectations for this team was a little higher than they probably should have been on some of these draft picks and whatnot. I mean, it's like Robert Saleh is not a good head coach. He was brought in to be a defensive-minded coach, and this team sucks. He goes to the 49ers, and it's like instantly, boom. Now I know they already had the talent there. Okay. But it's not like the New York Jets weren't drafting defensive player after defensive player after defensive player. And a lot of their good draft picks over the last couple of years happen to be defensive players. You know what I mean? That, like, I think, like, people are too harsh on Aaron Glenn for whatever reason. When he first got hired for the Jets, like, I didn't really see people like, that's the guy they're hiring. The only one that I really thought was like, this sucks, was like Sean and/or Cooper from our fantasy league. It was like immediately like, we're out on this.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get a time machine and bring Chad Pennington back in his prime, and one of my probably my all-time favorite quarterback, and they would just be like, no, this guy sucks. So, like, like, those are our boys, but, so, like, I just think, like, Aaron Glenn needs to be given another chance. Here's the thing. You're kind of playing with house money here. There is nothing that you can do for the New York Jets that's going to win them a division next year. The Patriots are too good. Even though I think the Bills are going to regress, they are still good. And, if they're the Jets, they hired a defensive coordinator, I would have thought that might have been somebody who they would consider looking at, Sean McDermott, to be a defensive coordinator. He started his career as a defensive backs coach, if I'm not mistaken. And even though the Bills' defense has had their problems over the years, their secondary is usually pretty decent. Maybe not the best, but they're not always they're not drafting in the top 5 every year. We know that. They're always drafting towards the end, and they make the best of bad situations. That, like, I thought that could have been something for them, like a good get-right job for him. And then the other thing is, do you want to bring a more accomplished head coach into your system and whatnot? It makes things awkward.
Right.
But
I think that, great question. No, great idea. Having him as right away, when he got fired, I said it in our chat. I think Sean McDermott would be a great DC. I said it, Sean McDermott, you are New York, like, jokingly, you are a New York Jet. Like, that would be my first choice. You would think. But I actually want Sean McDermott to be the coach. If Aaron Glenn is fired next year, if he is, I want him to come in and be the head coach of the team. Now, I know he's a defensive coach. I get that. But he's an experienced coach, which is something that they've lacked to hire over these past couple of years. And don't mention Adam Gase. Because Adam Gase, yes, we're not going to get into that. I know he's experienced, but come on.
He had experience,
But
just bad
he had
experience.
experience at somewhat. But Sean McDermott, that's who I would want the Jets to hire as my next head coach. He's an experienced leader. Helped turn around Buffalo and ended that playoff drought they had, and helped them develop Josh Allen. Now, again, he was on the defensive side of the ball, yes, but he had the coaching that was able to make Josh Allen the way he is. He had Brian Daboll. And then obviously he had Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey was okay, but then that's where he brought over Joe Brady, where Joe Brady was able to make him into the Josh Allen MVP form. So, I think Sean Dermott would bring the leadership, the culture, and the coaching, and as himself and with the assistants. I think that's why Sean McDermott would be a great head coach next year. Now, this year he said he's going to take a year off. So, say next year he would probably be the head coach in candidate right away. If the Jets were to fire Aaron Glenn this season, nobody would come here. You look at teams like the Falcons, the Giants, the Browns, even the Browns, the Dolphins. Like, what makes you think the Jets are going to want to come here? Like, players are going to want to come here. Like, not players, but coaches are going to want to come here. It would just, you'd be starting from scratch, starting all over. It just would not be a good look, not be a good mess. So that's why I think next year, if you're going to do anything, next year will be better because the roster will probably set up better. You're going to have the draft picks and the cap space. Sure, you have the cap space and the draft picks now, but you have no quarterback and no roster. So the Jets kind of need to build that. And so that's why I think, Sean McDermott would be a great case to be the coach next year, in my opinion. So, but in terms of what you said on Aaron Glenn, I agree. I think everyone's given him a lot of slack. He deserves another year. He deserves this year to kind of see how we can build this roster. And I like the coaches that he's bringing in. People are also saying that after what happened with Steve Wilkes, like that situation, how Steve Wilkes is running the team, that it wasn't set up good. Like, so he just wants, he knows his ass is in the hot seat. So if he's gonna go out, get fired, he's gonna go out his own way, which is calling the plays, like in control. Like if he knows he can be in control of that, he's gonna take advantage of that. So yeah, I like to see how I'd like to see what he's going to do. I don't like the 10 action firing. I think that was, to me, a mistake, unless you bring in Frank Reich or some other offensive coach. But in terms of the defensive side of the ball, he knows, if he's going to go out his own way, he's going to take advantage of that. So I see why he's calling their own plays. But again, I'd like to see what they do this offseason. People already say it's going to be a bad year already. People already want to simulate to next offseason already. I'm not going to go ahead and do that yet. I'd like to see how they build this roster. Again, like I said, I'd like to see how they build this roster, how they build it through the free agency, through the draft. They're not going to be the same team they were this year. They were not a good team this year. But that doesn't mean they're going to be the same team next year. So we'll see. I don't think I'd want Aaron Glenn gone yet, but I like to see what he's going to do this year.
All right.
I don't think there's really much anything else.
Yeah, I was about to say, what else do we have here? Browns just hired.
Yes, we said Todd Monken. Yep, I announced that. Yep.
Todd Monken. Okay, I mean. Oh, do we want to talk about the Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yeah, we should talk about that. Yes, we can't miss on that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's two different things. A big part of it is him and Robert Kraft do not get along anymore. And Robert Kraft is getting in this year, and people are saying that Robert Kraft didn't want to be on the stage with him and stuff like that. It's like, not for nothing, would Robert Kraft be getting there without Bill Belichick? No. So, it's like, it's just kind of like, kind of weird. Like, you guys can't suck it up for one day. You spend 20 years with somebody. It would be like a divorced couple not showing up to graduation. You guys put up with it for X amount of years. You can't do it for another X amount of hours. You know what I mean? It's just weird. I'm guessing some voters also held all the cheating scandals against him. I
Yeah,
think that might be a little more of it than maybe there is some behind the scenes stuff. And I will say this between Eli Manning wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer either. Right?
no, he was not.
At this point in time, like the NFL, the forget our buddy Chris, the NFL Hall of Fame is turning into Mickey Mouse U. And like it's just like I cannot take this. I went there a couple years ago, had a good time. But dude, Eli Manning and Bill Belichick are not first ballot Hall of Famers, guys.
I think.
What are we doing here? Is Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame this year too? Like, did they announce who actually got in yet?
They didn't announce it. I don't know how this even leaked because I think we're going to figure things out next week. I don't know why. Maybe they're rounding up the votes for, I guess, the players, for players, coaches, executives. I think they're doing that stuff now. They're just rounding up. And then next week, maybe they voted this week, and then next week, we're going to find out because next week is the awards, the NFL honors. So I don't know why. I don't know how this leaked now. He had a lot of voters against him though. This was like 40 out of 10. I think he needed 40 out of 50 votes to be considered first ballot. I think he just missed that. So I think there's a lot of voters that either don't like him, they bring up the cheating scandals, and then I made the argument in the chat that maybe some people say that he was carried by Tom Brady, if more in a sense than Bill Belichick, but which I think would be a little bit, in my so bit ludicrous. Look, I'm not no Bill Belichick fan. I'm not, but I do. I think the accolades do make a lot of sense. So for him to get snubbed, I think it is a bit ludicrous. I can understand the cheating scandal part. You don't want him, but from what I watched First Take this morning, supposedly Spygate was a year before the '07 Patriots, if I'm correct. That's and this is from First Take. The Deflategate, sure. They won the Super Bowl and that same season, and then they still were dominant throughout the next couple of years. They won Super Bowl, against Super Bowl 51. They made it Super Bowl 52, and they made it Super Bowl 53. So, are we really going to use those scandals really against them? Really? So, I do agree that like I said, I'm not no Bill Belichick fan, but I still think he was deserving of getting in the Hall of Fame. I will say that, and I think there's something that the voters didn't vote him in. So I just Belichick's just gonna have to pay the price for that. It's fortunately that's just how the Hall of Fame is. But I think he did get snubbed.
Yeah, I mean it's like I said, literally Mickey Mouse U. Like this is just because like he may not have been the easiest to get along with and was a cheater pumpkin eater, doesn't mean he's not a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Like especially because look at everything else he accomplished aside from that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not the best person to go to on that.
Another thing I think I just realized is that I think voters didn't want to vote him in because he's still kind of active in football. Like he's not retired. Like even though he's not in the NFL, he's still coaching like in college. That might be another factor.
People have said that before in baseball with managers. Does that really matter? Like I'm happy that in basketball for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame that they do elect current coaches into the Hall of Fame. You want to hear why I like that, Brandon? Because it's not like they're going to start playing again. And if they're going to be coaching until they're old as dirt, why don't we vote them in where they could actually celebrate it? And isn't it fun when those guys lose the playoffs or lose a big game or something like that? And it's like against like the rookie head coach or something like that. Or somebody less experienced, and you have this you have the matchup already a Hall of Famer going up against this guy trying to establish himself. Guys, just make it fun. God of Almighty, like does every hill have to be a hill to die on? I'm the one saying this, me of all people. I keep pointing myself with a comb. I don't know if that's making it on the camera or not. But does everything have to be some kind of grandstand? Give me a break.
Yeah, but I guess that sums up that like I said, I'm interested to see who's going to get voted in for the Hall of Fame this year. I know we got Eli Manning coming up. I think Drew Brees is also in there. Larry Fitzgerald, a lot of NFL greats. So we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. To like I said, wait and see who's going to get in. But yeah, I'm very excited. Obviously, definitely a lot going on. I definitely want to record before I go away next week.
Definitely.
I won't be able to go on for weeks. So yeah, but a lot to talk about before next week. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I got to shovel my car out.
I wish you luck with that. I'm gonna have some eggplant parm real quick.
Ooh. Homemade, or did you guys get it from somewhere?
It's homemade. My mom made it from scratch. Delicious, delicioso.
Okay. Wow.
But so to everybody tuning in, listening, shout out to our good buddy, Andrew Arosa, a diehard Knicks fan and gym buddy of mine, Plain Edge alum of us with us. Very great guy. Hope you. I don't know if you've seen this right now, but thank you for tuning in for a bit. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for tuning in for a little bit, even if it's for a little second. I don't know if you're still in it. Obviously, our good buddy Jason Brandel. It's crazy. I know he was too tired to see Mercy. I think that's one of the movies coming out lately, but I hope he got some good sleep. Obviously, I couldn't go to the movies because I was sleeping. But I hope he's staying warm outside because he's delivering mail right now in this cold weather.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Stay warm, guys. Stay warm and drive safe.
Stay warm and drive safe. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. My name is Brandon Jordan Talley, along with Dennis. You want to announce yourself?
You guys could just call me Dennis, man.
Along with Dennis. Obviously, this is SportsShack. Thank you for listening, and I hope everybody has a great day. Stay warm and drive safe, as Dennis said.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.